It is the Doomsday Podcast. And Ed, we've come tonight during this joyous holiday, and it's not so joyful for Cowboys fans. We are coming to you live from, well, plausibly live as we record this after the Cowboys game, moments after we've just talked to Jerry. We've heard from Dak. I heard from Shoddy. Are you good? Are you? Yeah.
Yeah, you're barely alive. Okay, barely.
I'm barely holding on. Cowboys lose 34-26. Their season is barely hanging on. Their percentages, since we do this every week, now at 1%. 1%.
Have virtually no pulse.
They have to win out, and the Eagles have to lose all 3 games. And I don't think either one is going to happen. And I don't know which one is more likely or less, or I should say less likely to occur. Ed, good to have you, man. As always, Ed's got a quick turnaround for tomorrow.
These hard games are brutal.
I hope that the WFAA taking good care of you with a downtown hotel. I talked to some people. I think they're going to make it happen. They're going to make you use your hotel points, but that's okay. Cowboys lose 34-26. Ed, and we got a lot to discuss. Jerry had some things to say, but overall, I think this is just, we knew they really weren't headed anywhere, but we keep saying, well, maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance. And tonight, I think they just solidified that whatever happened, that little nice stretch of 3 wins was kind of like was a mirage.
I think when they make the Quinnen Williams trade and they get some guys healthy on defense like DeMarvion Overshone, they get Siobhan Ravel, or 3rd-round pick rookie playing corner. You go beat the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year in a 4-day stretch. And you got Dak Prescott talking about all the confidence that's been gained and the momentum that they have and how he's never been so excited about the team he's taking into December. And then you fall on your face and you losing to the Lions. They got punked in that game. And in this game, this was as bad as the Arizona loss, maybe worse. You lose to Arizona and Minnesota at home, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs. And tonight it was both sides of the ball and the kicker. Even finally Brandon Aubrey even failed him. The offense was 2 for 12 on 3rd down and 2 for 5 in the red zone. And Brandon Aubrey missed 2 50-ish yard kicks that put the Vikings on a short field, and the Vikings scored on both of those, 10 total points in an 8-point game. And defensively, the Cowboys couldn't even get them off the field on 4th down, let alone 3rd down.
Now, a 51-yarder and a 59-yarder were the ones he missed. He did have they had a good-looking fake field goal early in the game. And the pass rush showed up early, and they forced the interception right off the bat.
JJ McCarthy's first throw
gets the crowd into it, and JJ McCarthy never missed a throw the rest of the game. JJ McCarthy's QBR was somewhere around a 86, I think I saw, and Dak's was a 61. And Dak threw for, quite a few yards, but a lot of empty.
I'll give you the defining stat for each quarterback.
Okay.
On the other side of the music.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, without further ado, then, the Z-Man, Zach Burke, if you would please play the music. All right. Boy, that great music. By the way, there was a great concert from the guy who performed that song and wrote that song at the Barley House just last night. In fact, a beautiful Christmas concert. The Cowboy, Roddy Foss is his name. Cowboys lose this one 34-26. Ed, we came back from the locker room. Let's kind of work through the game a little bit, but let's start there because I think a lot of people will be interested in this. Jerry talking about the future. I think he was most disturbed. Well, there was a lot to be disturbed about in this game, but the defense, lack of a pass rush, the fact that, this team used to be pretty good if they got a young quarterback there were times even under McCarthy, right, when they had an inexperienced or they would overwhelm a quarterback. And in this case, this is not a quarterback that's been particularly great in his first couple of seasons in the league, doesn't have a huge body of work, and yet, as you said earlier, maybe the best game of his career.
Yeah, last week was the first week he started We're talking about JJ McCarthy, first-round pick out of Michigan, missed his entire rookie season. Vikings make a huge gamble on him to start the season. They won, 13 games last year and moved on from Sam Darnold to give JJ McCarthy the start. Last week was the first time he had 3 touchdown passes and no interceptions. It was the only time in his career as an NFL starter he had 0 interceptions. Tonight he throws an interception on a Blitz. Like Donovan Wilson gets to him, hits him, ball gets deflected. I think Wilson deflected it yet again, and Quinnen Williams made the interception, and right away the Cowboys turn it into what? A field goal, right?
No, they actually scored a touchdown on that one. Yeah, they went up 7-0 on that one. And they had
a 4th down.
They got it on 4th down.
That's when they faked the field goal.
Yeah.
Aubrey faked the field. So anyway, yeah, you're right. They used to take full advantage of those guys, especially if they got the lead at home. And tonight they didn't do that at all. I told you I'd have a definitive stat on each quarterback, and the one for JJ McCarthy was that he was 5 for 8 for 148 yards and a touchdown on balls he threw at least 15 yards downfield. That's his most deep completions and yards in a game this season. Overall, he averaged 10.5 air yards per completion, his most in a game in his entire career. And so that's why there are questions now. Well, and the Vikings became, the 7th Cowboy opponent to score 30 points. I think that matches the most in the NFL with the Bengals and the Raiders, a couple of teams that have 2 or 3 wins apiece. And that's why Jerry was asked about Matt Eberflus's future. Now, he expressed some concern earlier in the year that, hey, I kind of recognize that what I did was in terms of having 3 defensive coordinators in 3 years, that was a foolish move on my part. I recognize the value of continuity. And so it made it seem like, well, no matter what happens with Eberflus, especially since Jerry hired him, Brian Schottenheimer didn't hire him. Jerry hired him for Brian Schottenheimer. And given that comment, you would think that there's no chance that they're going to make a change and have 4 defensive coordinators in 4 years. But that's maybe not what Jerry said after the game.
No, in fact, I've got what Jerry said after the game, and I was standing right there when he said it. It's a little bit, I'll read you the quote. I guess I could play it for you, but it's so confusing that I'll need to translate for you. The adjustments that we should be making should be with this year, these next 3 games in mind. They should not be being made, and with 3 games left in the short time, we've got to play them in. Then that will impact any adjustments that you make regarding coaching. The time frame we're dealing with, that's a legit question. The question that John Machado asked was like, how does this impact Eberflus's future? Like, how much confidence do you have in him? And Jerry's answer was basically that I got to look at these next 3 games, and how they perform in these next 3 games will kind of dictate what we have to do in terms of coaching adjustments. I think what he really is leaning toward and almost saying is that, yeah, there's a decent chance that they could have a 3rd defensive coordinator in 3. Well, 4th, yeah. Well, yeah. 3rd in the last 3 years, but then after Quinn, you're right. I mean, it's unbelievable how many they've gone through. And then before that, even before Quinn, there was a lot of turnover, and they had to go through a lot. So all of that is the backdrop, and it is just, and I know there's been in the context of that, Jerry was also pressed on this Trevon Diggs situation, and what's going on with him? Is he, because, and Ed, you actually talked to Diggs after the game, so I want to hear what you have to say. But Diggs this week was saying, I'm good. I'm ready to go.
He said for 2 weeks in a row, this is as healthy as he's been. Even at the start of the year, he wasn't feeling with his knees as well as he's feeling now, and he's ready to play. And when he said after the game that he talked to the coaches, he expressed his discontent with their decision not to play him yet again. So they now are down to, if they don't activate him by next Saturday for the Chargers game, then he has to remain on IR the rest of the year. Now, this is a guy who I don't think is going to, in all likelihood, is going to be here next season. They've given Deron Bland the money. And they can get out of Diggs' contract and not get crushed by the salary cap. And so it seems inevitable they're going to move on from him. He's not been a good culture fit. They docked him $500,000 because he didn't do his offseason rehab at the team facility. He did it on his own in South Florida. So that cost him $500,000. That tells you everything you need to know about the relationship between the team and the player.
Yeah.
Is that he had such a bad relationship with the training staff that he went elsewhere, even though it might cost him $500,000. And the team took the $500,000. They wouldn't do that to a player that they valued and wanted long term. And so Diggs wants to get on the field because he wants to show, teams that might be interested in signing him this offseason that he's still a viable player. He's only played 19 games since the Cowboys gave him that $97 million contract. He made like $43 million for 19 games. And so he's frustrated. Obviously, he's questioned the coverages that, Eberflus has been playing. So it's been a contentious relationship all year long between the front office and the player and the coaching staff. And then Jerry said after the game, without equivocation, right, the only reason he's not playing is because he's not healthy. Did you guys hear me? I'm telling you right now, he's not healthy enough to play. So I went in and I talked to Diggs, and Diggs said that's not it at all. I feel I'm healthy enough to play. Dak said at his press conference, because he's been something of a counselor for Diggs, wants him on the field, knows, recognizes previous values, big-time playmaker, led the NFL in interceptions. And he said that he told Diggs, hey, I know you're disappointed. He said, I want you to go in there Monday. I want you to talk to Shoddy and ask him exactly what he wants from you this week to play. So that's where they're at with that.
It makes me think, hearing you say that, if they could have, Ed, they would have traded Micah and Trevon. I mean, if they had it to do all over, and they could have moved both of them.
Well, and that was another thing. Trevon criticized them publicly for the Micah Parsons trade as much as any player in the locker room did.
Yeah.
They're quite tight. And so Diggs was upset about that too and expressed his opinion that was a poor trade by the front office. So I just don't think this is going anywhere good. But if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, I really don't care who the quarterback is in this league. If you can't pressure the quarterback, and that was proven last week by Jared Goff and reiterated tonight by JJ McCarthy, they're going to go after your young, inexperienced corners, and they're going to get exploited. Last week it was Ravel got exploited, and tonight it was Carson that got exploited.
Yeah, and they're killing him on the deep ball. There was the one explosive where Jefferson gave him a double move. Naylor was just crushing him. I think he's a Michigan State kid, just crushing them all night. This is so like the Cowboys. When they play the Cardinals, when they play the Giants, I spend the whole game like, who's that guy? Wait, Michigan State. Wait, who's that? Which one's the guy from USC? Oh, that's Addison. Well, which one's okay? Well, we know who Jefferson.
As they all look like Jefferson.
Yeah, and they're all just sprinting free, and then Hawkinson just crushes them. It was like we reached the Hawkinson portion of the game where they had no chance to cover him at all, and they still, even though they traded for Logan Wilson, they still feel the need to have like Murray in there, and PFF and all the people who chart these things have Murray literally graded out of like 95 linebackers. He's like 91st. And did you see the handoff to the fullback on that play? Did you see him just race?
CJ Ham right up the
end. CJ goes up the middle. Yeah. Murray's all running off to the side somewhere.
That's one of the biggest indictments of this scouting department, the coaching staff. You traded for two middle linebackers, and Eberflus brought a guy from Chicago and Jack Sanborn who played for him there, and you have nobody who can play the position. You traded for Kenny Murray before the season started. You traded for Wilson when you traded for Quinnen Williams at the trade deadline, and neither one of them can play. And so tonight they start Wilson, and in the second half they're back to playing Kenny Murray again.
Yeah. Just to illustrate how bad the pass rush was. Okay, good play early. You might go, well, quarterback hits. That's a stat, that you can look at right after a game. How many times they at least hit JJ McCarthy? Once. And just for context, you go, well, how many did the Vikings have on Dak? 11.
And 2 sacks.
He had a couple of sacks, and they sped him up. I think they confused him. They were horrific on third down. I think Ed mentioned it. 2 for 12 on third down. And Flores looked like a genius because he just kept – and by the way, Cowboys ran the ball fine. By the way, Javonte he got hurt at one point, but he came back in the game, had like 88 yards. Cowboys had 138 yards rushing. Vikings didn't really do much at all in the run game, and it didn't matter. Quarterback throws for 250 yards. he was on point, and they just killed the Cowboys, and they scored touchdowns. They weren't settling, for a lot of field goals as the Cowboys were. And I mean, to get Ed, at one point, the Cowboys were, okay, huge moment in the game. Cowboys are up 23-17. Correct me if you hear anything wrong. And it's 4th and 3 for the Vikings, okay? So they elect not to try to make it 23-20. They go for it. But, they had such little respect that, and McCarthy is a confident dude, that he threw that ball, and you had the stat on all those throws of 15 yards or more. He threw a back shoulder. It was gorgeous, and the Cowboys had no chance.
Beat Ravel.
Was that Ravel down there? Ravel never turned around.
16-yard play.
Play the ball, and it was a gorgeous back shoulder. I don't even know if it was that gorgeous, but it just showed you how, on 4th and 3, they did not try to throw to the tight end. They did not try to find a running back. They did not try to do something short. They threw down the field because they knew the guy would be open, and he dropped a beautiful ball on him.
So, yeah, we're used to the defense playing terrible. That's pretty much what it's been all year long. The problem for me in this game was more on the offensive side of the ball. And I said I would have a definitive stat for each. And you mentioned the pressure on Dak. And, Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator, got a veteran group of players, and that's what he does. They came into this game, they had the most blitz plays in the NFL, 188 times they blitzed, 49% of the time, the highest rate in the NFL. Tonight, they pressured Dak on 48% of his dropbacks, the highest pressure percentage Dak has faced in a game in his entire career. He was 3 for 19 for 164 yards against the blitz. He was 9 for 17 for 142 yards under duress, the most pass attempts under duress the Vikings have forced in a game since 2016, since Dak was a rookie. 10 years since they put a quarterback under that much duress. And that's what, Schottenheimer said after the game at his press conference, said, hey, Brian Flores was better at his job tonight than I was at mine. And I'm not going to sleep well tonight, but I guarantee you I'll come back tomorrow. I'll work my ass off and I'll fix it. And, all week long at the Cowboys, Dak talked about how great they are with their veteran receivers, picking up the blitz. He's exceptional throwing against the blitz with his experience and all that time he devotes to, pregame and getting ready during the course of a week. And he acknowledged tonight they had no answers. Like, they tried everything, and they got 0 blitz to death tonight in this game, and mostly on third downs when they failed on third down. That's what happened. That's where they lost the game, is they could not come up with a solution to Brian Flores' consistent blitzing.
Yeah, and even though they got the one takeaway early, it's a bad takeaway team. I think they came into this game -8. I'm sure that's not, and I think actually the Vikings were pretty bad too in turnover margin.
They're not a sweat.
Vikings just, and by Vikings, I mean, like a lot of these teams, they didn't really need to go to third down. I think they probably ended up 3 for 7 or something on third down. It just didn't. They completed so many passes and everything. It just weren't faced with me third downs, and they really could do anything they wanted against this defense. But it's interesting you say the offense, because the offense, again, ran the ball fine, no real issue there. Nate Thomas got hurt. When he wasn't hurt, he was making mistakes and false starts. Then they bring in Adanji. He has the same issue. He gets called for something. I think he got called for a hold, didn't he? Or on a play they should have had, pretty big card. Yeah, it brought.
I think the other thing you mentioned with Javonte Williams was good running the football, but he hurt his shoulder early on and missed huge expanses of the game, like almost the entire first half after his touchdown run on the opening possession. And then he kind of spot played after that. And that's huge because you're facing a blitz team and your best blitz pickup guy and one of the best running backs in football at protecting the quarterback in those situations is Javonte Williams, and now he's not available.
Yeah.
And so you're not only losing his ability to run, but you're losing his ability to protect your quarterback.
Yeah, and on top of it, and maybe we can blame most of it on the blitz or something, and I don't know how much of it he deserves or not, but Pickens, who took a lot of heat this week, and Jerry and Schottenheimer and others really came to his defense, did not have some huge bounce back game. In fact, I think he had 3 catches 33 yards. I think he was targeted 6 times. And I was trying to watch him to see like what his routes were like and was he finishing his routes and everything. And just like usual, he wasn't, when he's not involved, he's not caring that much. It just kind of
doesn't block in the running game.
They don't seem to care that he does that.
And CD's kind of the same way a lot.
Yeah. CD actually made plays and had over 100 yards. And
this is what the third time Pickens has been held under 40 yards in a game, and the Cowboys have lost all 3 of those games.
Yeah. So he did set some kind of record for like most yards for a first-year receiver for the Cowboys ever.
Yeah, congratulations, George.
Way to go, George. Great job. I mean, it's just, so yeah. I mean, in closing, I mean, what do they have? What can they do the rest of the year? I mean, Jerry. I mean, here's what to look for. They got 2 road games. They got 1 on Christmas. Let's all wake up, open our gifts. I mean, Ed now have to decide.
We'll be here for the Chargers next week.
I know that, but I'm trying to look ahead and decide, does this team deserve a podcast on Christmas? Do Ed and I deserve just a day? Yeah, let us know. Would you even watch it on Christmas, given the way this team's going? I mean, we have a lot of people. And by the way, y'all have been incredible. Our downloads, our numbers are huge. We are extremely appreciative. Rogue loves that too. But Ed, over the next 3 games, what are we going to be looking for? Well, Jerry said it. Jerry's going to watch these next 3 games and see if he's got to make adjustments again on this with the defensive coordinator. And he thought he solved some things with Quinnen and then playing Kenny and Osa and all those guys together, and then they just got carved up by a young quarterback.
They have no outside pass rush, no consistent edge rushers. And unfortunately, Micah Parsons went down in Denver in the Denver-Green Bay game today. It looks like a torn ACL. So looks like the Cowboys won't be in the playoffs, and Micah Parsons won't be in the playoffs either. So that's unfortunate. Dak said he sent him a text pregame when he saw what had happened to him. But, Dak acknowledged after the game, he seemed well aware of how remote their playoff chances are. Basically said they have no chance. But that's not going to change his preparation. It's not going to change his commitment, and he's not going to let other guys do it either. He's expecting everybody to be a professional, to prepare accordingly, and to play as hard as possible to try to win as many of these games as they can. I think they have the 13th and 24th first-round picks right now, so that'll be something to watch the final 3 weeks of the season. Is how does Green Bay do? How does this team do? Where do those draft picks land in the first round? I think they've got to evaluate these offensive tackles and figure out what they're going to do going forward with Steele, and is Tyler Guyton going to come back and play these final 3 games, or what's that look like? So I think they've got they've got to find a solution to the lack of an edge rusher. These young corners, are they good enough? Are they going to turn into something? I mean, right now you'd have to say no. They still think highly of Ravel, I think, and that's fair. He's only played 3 or 4 games. Looks like a great athlete. Carson, I mean, he's never really done anything for you across 2 years, so I have kind of a dim view on him. And then I guess we'll see what happens with Diggs this week and whether he plays.
Well, though, like who the leader, you're talking about Dak, and I guess this team, as far as sub 500 teams, this team has great leadership. And Dak's, I mean, like, do they have any leaders on defense? I mean, Quinnen just got here. Maybe he could be something like that. Kenny Clark's kind of a veteran guy that's been around, but he just got here. They're all, the secondary. Deron Bland's a pretty good player. I don't know what kind of leader he is. They're bad at linebacker. Overshown might end up being a leader, but he's still new to the party because he's been injured so much. They don't really have leadership.
They don't have a fire breather on defense to hold everybody accountable. I would say Quinnen Williams is close to that as there is, but he's kind of a quiet guy too. He'll take the Dak approach in terms of, he's going to be in this week in the concussion protocol, so we'll see if he even gets out of that in time to play against the Chargers. But I would say he's kind of a quiet leader. I don't think Oso Digizua is really a big time, rah-rah type leader. I think they lost that with Jordan Lewis. I think Micah wanted to be a leader. I think DeMarcus Lawrence was, something of a leadership presence in the locker room.
Yeah.
It was obviously a tug of war between him and Parsons, and then they both got exiled for whatever reason. So Yeah, they don't have leadership on that side of the ball, and they don't have very good personnel on that side of the ball.
Did you ever hear, maybe if you can share it, like what happened to Diggs at his house?
I have a pretty good idea what happened, but I have not yet confirmed it.
Okay.
That if it's what I think it is, I can understand why it remains a mystery.
Okay.
The fact that nobody has acknowledged what exactly happened tells you what a bizarre and unflattering circumstance it must have been.
Ooh. How did he get injured at the house? And what was he up to?
But I don't think it's really the concussion that's the problem. It's the knees and the attitude, the ego, and the injuries to his knees.
I'll tell you what, just yuck it up.
I mean, I would say this in closing. People want, Schottenheimer said he was going to build the greatest winning culture in sports history here. And obviously he thinks that Trevon Diggs is not suited to that.
Yeah.
For what he wants. And so you can certainly make the case that he is committed to doing this to the point that it's costing him his best chance to make the playoffs because it's preventing arguably their best corner from playing. We haven't seen him play at a high level in a long time. And maybe he's not capable of doing that anymore. But I think he would have given you a chance these last two games to maybe make a play or two, or not to be thrown at like these young guys have been thrown at.
Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. You'll get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code Doomsday to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Doomsday. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Yeah, perhaps could have helped, and the whole thing. And like, to your point, he's been undermined. They felt undermined, and they had to move Micah out because in the end, he was embarrassing, and he was like napping during a game, and that made everybody mad. And so they moved him on out. And now it seems like Trevon has been so immature that things are soured to the point where the guy can't even get on the field when he's healthy, even though at one point he was one of the better corners in the game.
Led the NFL in interceptions in 2021.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, they did at least get a lot of stuff for Micah, like because of Trevon's the way he's behaved.
His health.
Like his health.
2 knee operations.
What could they get for him right now?
Nothing.
So
and the contract, like nobody wants.
They would just have to do a post-June 1.
Yeah, they'll just release him.
Release.
In all likelihood.
Yeah. So there you go. And so that is interesting, though. What Ed talked about, we can think ahead about like draft position. We can think about what they're going to do coaching-wise, and we will see how they respond against those Chargers. And we'll be right here to react. Ed, because the Cowboys are so bad right now, there's no chance this game gets moved, is there?
It's a noon kick.
That's what I'm saying. It could get moved. Somebody was telling me
it's too late for that. They would have had to do it on
it could be.
It would have to be
3 o'clock.
It would have to get flexed already.
Okay.
They're playing at noon.
All right.
That's what they deserve.
I know they deserve.
That's what we deserve.
Only Only noon games.
Forget
It was a
them.
Christmas game.
It's also a noon game.
Noon, and
Well, the last one's to be determined. The Giants.
we shouldn't even. They should play
It probably won't matter.
at
Either.
9 a.m.
Yeah, it won't matter because the Eagles have already clinched and everything will be decided in this division.
Yeah, just playing out string. But Ed and
Not making for very compelling Hard Knocks. I feel sorry. Really feel bad for the Hard Knocks.
the Hard Knocks makers. Yeah, well, the Eagles are still a compelling and interesting story. And they bounced back today with a huge win over a good Raiders team. Have you seen their coach after the game? That was interesting. Okay. Ed and I will be back tomorrow. Watch Ed, WFAA tomorrow, 6:30 a.m., and he'll go get prepared for that. He'll just sleep in the parking lot, and then he'll be ready to react to that. It is the Doomsday Podcast for Ed Werder and the Z-Man, Zach Burt. I am Matt Mosley. We'll see you next Sunday afternoon.
We are Rogue Media Sports.